So, a few weeks ago, one of my clients asked me a question that honestly surprised me. She said, Samantha, how do people actually afford retreats like this? I have a good income from my country, but it feels still completely out of reach. And I remember thinking, really? Because from my perspective, I already saw her as someone who could really afford it. The only difference was that she had never believed that herself. And instead, she had been telling herself the story, it's out of my reach, maybe one day, it's not for people like me. And I think so many of us do exactly the same thing. So today I want to show how people actually afford retreats and what are the common blocks that's blocking you from affording your dream retreat. The first shift, stop asking, can I afford it? Our brains are fascinating. When you tell yourself, I can't afford it, your brain treats that like the final answer and stops looking for possibilities. But when you ask, how could I make this happen? Your brain starts searching for solutions. It's a completely different conversation. That's exactly what happened with my client. Strategy number one, time is your greatest advantage. The first thing I told her was that most people who join my retreats don't pay everything at once. They book at least 6 months in advance, some even 1 year in advance. And because I want retreats to be accessible without creating financial pressure, I allow monthly installments without any interest, which is actually very rare. So it becomes very manageable to do the monthly investment. And for someone with stable salary, that often changes everything. And at one moment, they don't even notice that they're at the retreat. Strategy number two, if you're an entrepreneur, there's a different question. How many your products or services you need to sell to cover the retreat expense? And now it is not just a dream, but it's like a business plan, and it actually motivates you to also grow in your business. And that's how she understood it so much easier than she thinks, and actually booked a retreat in Vietnam this in April. And now every client she signs feels exciting because she knows exactly what she's working towards. But here's what I think is really happening. The biggest thing standing between most people and their dream retreat isn't money. It's three invisible patterns. Pattern number one, waiting for the perfect moment. Many people tell themselves, I'll go when I earn more. But when is more? 1 year passes, another, that the country is not even available anymore, you need visa or whatever, and often nothing changes because the decision keeps moving further away. Sometimes making a decision what creates a momentum, not the other way around. And that decision can actually, burn this desire and create changes in your life. Pattern number two, we normalize our current life. One thing psychology teaches us is that humans adapt incredibly quickly. We get used to our surroundings, our routines, our standards, and environment. So, what you think is around you, the people, opportunities, money, is just a norm. That's why changing your environment can be so powerful. When you spend a week surrounded by people investing in themselves, dreaming bigger, building businesses, healing, expanding in a place, with luxury, villa, and everything made for you. It's just a different standard, and something inside begins you asking, maybe this could be my norm too. And just by being there, you are already growing. Pattern number three, we already invest, just not always intentionally. So think about everything you spent your money on, like last year. Random online shopping, food delivery, little impulse purchases, subscriptions you barely used. And none of these things are bad, but how much of that money created a lasting transformation? Sometimes it's not that we don't have resources, it's that we don't consciously choose where they go. Here's something I've noticed after hosting retreats. People think they're buying a week in Bali or Vietnam or China, but whatever the retreat is, They're investing in a future version of themselves. The woman who says, I prioritize my growth, I'm worthy of that extraordinary experience. I'm willing to invest in becoming who I want to be. I want to go to a new level. I want this to be my new norm. That identity starts forming long before the plane goes off. This is why I believe the retreat begins earlier. People often ask me, when does the retreat actually begin? And honestly, it's the moment you pay the deposit, the first payment, because you make this decision, something in you starts, activating, this is really happening. And all this time until the actual retreat, you have completely different motivation. You start seeing yourself differently. You start making different decisions because you press that button of change. You stop dreaming passively and start moving actively towards something meaningful. Does that mean that magically money appears? No. But your relationship with possibility changes, and that changes your actions. Just a disclaimer, if you're really struggling financially, you barely can make ends meet, then this video is not for you. I can make a separate video how to crumble out of that, because I also had moments in my life where I had very little money. But this video is for those who already have, normal income compared to other people, yes, but still inside of you, you're blocking this impulse to go to the retreat because you have this illusion that you're not ready, you don't have enough, you can't afford it. And I hope this video gives a completely different perspective, that this is that spark that actually can activate your new level in life. So, if you've been telling yourself, maybe one day, I want to leave you with one question. Instead of asking, can I afford my dream retreat? What if you ask, how could I make it happen? So instead of repeating the mantra, it's too expensive, it's not for me, it's not the time, start asking the question, how, and you will always receive the answer. So if you're curious about the retreats I host, I will leave information down below, because we have such exciting plans this year, completely expanding, up leveling. We'll have feminine retreats, growth retreats, super amazing. Every participant that has been to my retreats has gone afterwards and started expanding, creating, living from completely different energy. Many of them, created their events, academies, products. They started choosing new things for themselves. So it was always a transformation. I have many reviews, many testimonials that it actually works. So let's not hesitate and meet at some of the retreats, or go to any retreat, because it's just so amazing.